Morning, London, and welcome to MXP 2026 here at the Science Museum, just in case you missed that. Around this time last year, I was sitting exactly where you're sitting today. It was my real first interaction with the Mixpanel team and with this community. I spent my career around the data and analytics, so I knew about the product. But what happened last year in this room was something truly different. The way you look at the data to help you shape the future around your product and to help your company grow, the innovation and the conversation that you had was electric. And probably that's what got me here into this place. Now, when I saw the level of the conversation you had last year and the way you look at data, not just as numbers, as context, as insight, as intelligence, it was truly a different moment. And my love story with Mixpanel began. So when I say thank you, I mean it. Now, 1 year later, I'm your MC. My name is Gaith. I lead the go-to-market for EMEA, and I'm really delighted to be here with you today. I want to say thank you, to our partners, to the people in the room for spending the rest of the day with us today. This is the second stop of our global Mixpanel show, and we chose London. We're taking this to 17 different cities globally. We're hosting thousands of people. We're even doing this live on YouTube and our YouTube channel. There is a lot of good stuff we're going to be sharing with you today. Some of this stuff will be shared for the first time here in this room. So here is the plan. First, we have our CEO, Jen Taylor, coming to the stage. Jen will set the scene for us and will tell us where Mixpanel is headed. You want to hear this. Second, our CTO, Anant Gupta, will come and will share with us product updates. The stuff you will be hearing today, you won't just be hearing it. In fact, you will be able to use it. If you head later to the booth, exploration booth we have, you can have your hands on it. After that, we have the Q&A. We're going to invite Jen and Anant back in here, so start preparing your questions now. And we're going to close off with a customer story from Maria, or as we refer to, Lulu. And she will tell us about, in this age of data and AI, how she's aligning the troops and the teams to row into one direction and get to outcomes quicker. So, right, let's get straight into it. Now, without any further ado, please welcome to the stage Mixpanel CEO Jen Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here with us today. Thank you for being a customer, for your partnership. The work you do, the customers you serve, the products you build are the inspiration for everything we do. And it is an absolute pleasure to have the opportunity to build with all of you. So it's appropriate, actually, that we kicked off our time and our presence here in London with a hackathon yesterday. We partnered with Replit and Product X to work with a crew of builders to really experience firsthand what it means to build and deliver product in the AI era. And it was a total hackathon. You had 18 people in 5 teams. They'd never met each other before. And it was amazing what they were able to accomplish in such a short period of time. I want to start by thanking and congratulating the winners, the village. So please congratulate Min, Sonia, and Matt. The prompt for the hackathon was to reimagine community and connectivity in the age of AI, which I felt like was a very appropriate way for us to start this conversation today. And this group actually took a concept that I think many of us are familiar with, which is next door, and thought about how can we actually make it more engaging. What really struck me as I was spending time, actually I had the privilege of being a judge, judging the hackathon was really kind of two things. First and foremost, just the speed at which you could build, right? It used to be the people that won a hackathon were the people who could build the best UI in the shortest period of time. But with tools like Replit, they were able to build blisteringly beautiful UIs in just matters of minutes. And it was just like that transformation, that acceleration that we're all experiencing now became so real to me in that moment. And then the second is the nature of the products that we're building and the differentiation that is required in the moment of AI is fundamentally different. Instead of thinking just about the experience layer, we also have to think about the data layer, the engagement layer, and how do our applications build and compound over time. It was such a microcosm of the moment we're in and the things we're going to talk about here today in the keynote, in the Q&A, and throughout the day. And it was just an absolute pleasure to get started. What a moment we are all living in, right? Things that used to take us 2 weeks to do, we can now do in the moment it takes for us all to make a cup of tea. Engineers have never been able to build faster. There was a survey that came out last fall that said that 42% of teams were either working with AI-generated or AI-assisted code. Now, the thing that blew me away about this survey was not the 42%, but the fact that I was like, one, it was 23%. Is that right? No, it was 6% in 2023. I got that backwards. 6% in 2023, which is like bananas, right? But the other is I was like, that 42% sounds really low to me. If I like step back and think about it, it feels to me like we're more at like 75 or 80%, which means when I look at these projections, they seem low to me for the future. Because what I see time and time again is that leading teams are already accelerating their adoption of AI. Spotify has indicated that their best engineers have not actually written a line of code themselves since December. Again, the speed at which this is happening is phenomenal. This is the world that we're all living in. And it's not slowing down. The world of AI is actually accelerating. This is the world that we live in. So what does it mean for us here in this room? The product managers, the designers, the engineers, the builders. The work that we do today is fundamentally changing. There's never been a better time to actually build and deliver software, right? Prototyping is instant, testing is faster, and shipping is cheaper. The hard part of this is that while this might have felt like science fiction 5 years ago, and the speed at which we're delivering is incredibly compelling, the hard part is the faster you go, in many ways, the faster the bad decisions compound themselves, right? As you're building and delivering today, like, how do you know if the thing that you've prototyped is actually any good? How do you know if it's actually working? And we all have data, but the problem we have is if people take 5 different LLMs and put them on 5 different data sources, they get 5 different answers. So not only are we moving faster, if we're not working and aligning on what it is we're measuring and how we're measuring it and what it is we're looking at to define that success, we're actually running faster in different directions, which ultimately will slow us down. At the same time, the models, the way we work, the way we build is fundamentally changing. The roles that we have all built our careers and our understandings on, what does it mean to be a product manager, an engineer, a designer? Those models are changing. And we're moving into this world of being a builder, but what does that actually mean? The thing I come back to time and time again is that whatever your role is, the most important thing as you build a product is to understand your users, to understand your customers, to understand how your product, your application, your business is delivering value. The most important thing in the world of a builder is to understand who's using your product, what are they doing with it, is it working, what should I go do next, and how quickly can I take those insights into action to actually maintain that competitive edge. Let me tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from. So prior to joining Mixpanel, I spent the better part of my career as a product manager or product marketer in B2C and B2B companies. So I worked at companies like Adobe, Salesforce, Cloudflare, and Plaid. Places where literally data and analytics were the foundation and the bedrock for how we built product. The most interesting moment of my career as it relates to data, though, actually happened when I was working at Facebook. The thing that I saw, the thing that really stopped me in my tracks when I walked in the door of that organization is that every single team had an embedded product data scientist that sat with the team, with the product managers, the engineers, and the designers. Not some shared resource, not some dashboard they logged into. Literally, like a living, breathing human who's been trained in data science. And the whole purpose of having those resources was that so instantaneously people could see and understand what's happening, what are customers doing, how are they using it, is it delivering value? And then you had a shared resource across the board who helped them understand what to actually go do about it. Teams could see in near real time if adoption was working, if the product was delivering value, and teams moved more quickly than ever. How? Why? Because they had signal, and they had clarity of signal. And that powerful signal is something that they could convert and change instantaneously into product innovation. As a result, they moved fast. They built amazing products, and most importantly, their customers, their users, got value in a way that compounded. Honestly, I have to tell you, as a builder myself, it felt a little bit like magic. And I will also share that for the rest of my career, I have been living and breathing in product organizations thinking about, how do I create something like that? How do I do it, but do it at scale? Not just for big, large, well-funded organizations like Meta, but really every product team that's building today. Because those insights fundamentally transformed and accelerated the business. So that's what brings me here today. I've been chasing that product data analyst vision my entire career. What brings me here to Mixpanel is because I believe, one, in the age of AI and the world we're living in now, the opportunity to build and deliver that has never been closer. And two, I fundamentally believe that Mixpanel is uniquely positioned to deliver that. Let me explain a little bit why. So on the Mixpanel front, I think there are two things that are important to recognize. One is, we've been around for about 17 years. We've invested intensely in building our behavioral data intelligence infrastructure. We've done it by being shoulder to shoulder with tens of thousands of different product teams, building and delivering, experimenting every day. We've learned a ton. This is the knowledge that is fundamentally different than putting your LLM on top of a data warehouse and calling it a day. The other is, we have the privilege of servicing 29,000 customers. And it really is a privilege. We learn, as I said earlier, we love working and building with each and every one of you. Every one of those interactions is something that we learn from. And we're privileged to serve small organizations or large organizations around the globe. And the second is the thing I talked about a moment ago, right? Which is fundamentally, AI now makes possible so much of what has been challenging for me as I've been chasing that product data analyst dream, right? It's now easier than ever to get context and understanding of the business, to understand deeply the analytics, and more importantly, to take that knowledge and turn those insights into action instantaneously within the context of your product. Another reason I came to Mixpanel is because I know what this company means. I know what it meant to me as a user, and I know what it means to many of you. I know how fundamental the insights that many of you have gotten from Mixpanel have been over the years to more deeply understand your customers and users. And the coolest thing for me is I don't see that changing. I actually see that also accelerating. There's a CEO of an AI startup in San Francisco that I spent a bunch of time with, and he looks at probably 1,000 Mixpanel dashboards each month to better understand his users. He fundamentally believes, as do I, that in this day and age, the understanding of the user is the thing that drives the difference. So if we have met before, you probably know this, but if we haven't, I will share it now. I'm a little customer obsessed. And I've spent the better part of my first 8 to 9 months here at the company actually on the road, listening and learning from all of you, being able to walk a mile in your shoes and understand what it is you do, what it is that's working, and what it is that's changing. And the thing that has been interesting to me as I build on this understanding of what Mixpanel is also the evolution of the value that we've been able to create together through the innovations we've been delivering. The first for me really has been watching how some of our customers have adopted and used some of our new technologies. So last year we launched experimentation. We launched it for the first time, and it's been our most widely adopted product since our first product. And having spent a bunch of time with customers, I understand why. I've spent some time with a customer that's a platform in Brazil, and they had an engineering team that had adopted our experimentation product portfolio. They were getting to roll out a big experiment to help them make a critical business decision, and just as they were about to launch it, Mixpanel flagged for them that there was a configuration issue. They were able to change that configuration issue and roll the experiment out safely. And I point that out because in the age of fast, in the age of insights, the importance of right and correct has never been more important, and we're here for you. We got you. But we're also living in this age of AI, and it's been amazing to see how AI has actually helped further democratize the insights that we've been able to provide for all of you. We launched our MCP server last year, and we've seen accelerating adoption. The coolest thing about this is watching organizations adopt MCP to enable their customers or enable their internal, less technical users, like the designers and the operations folks, to be able to use Claude with our MCP behind it to more deeply understand their users and their customers. So further spreading and democratizing the insights. But finally, one of the coolest things that I've actually seen is people actually starting to look at and treat Mixpanel as a part of their data infrastructure. There's a fintech based here in Europe that we've done a bunch of work with, and what they've actually done is taken our data platform and built their own analyst on top of it. And again, you go back to sort of my mission, my goal, democratizing insights, providing that product data analyst, boom, it's happening right there. There's so much that's going on, and there's so much more that we can do. But what this has really affirmed for me is that the future, the differentiation in this moment is critical that we deliver to all of you that deep product intelligence so that you can understand your users and move quickly in a way that is aligned. So to help you get there, there are three things I'm focusing on as a CEO as I come on board. The first and foremost is team. It's always about the team that gets behind it and builds it. As I said, we've been around for 17 years. We're privileged to have employees who've been with us a good bit of that time. But we also are doing a ton of hiring, a ton of new perspectives and energies coming into the organization. You've got myself, Anant, who's going to come up here momentarily, Damien, who's our CRO, even Guy just talked a moment ago. We're all here bringing new perspectives. And it's that blending of the new perspectives and that energy with the existing organization that's enabling us to really innovate and move forward. Oh, I did it backwards, didn't I? That was funny. Nobody said anything. Okay, but I'm also... I guess I should go back to listening to customers. I am still listening to customers. There we go. Listening to customers. As I said, I've started listening to customers already on the listening tour. We're all excited to be here and listening from you today. I love having conversations with all of you. I love it when you're happy, but more importantly, I love the fact that you all have very high expectations. And I ask that you not compromise those expectations when you're expecting things from us. I love hearing about the things that are working, hearing about the things that are not working. One of the privileges of today for us as a company, as an organization, is the opportunity to have those conversations with all of you. So as you're wandering around the organization, I believe all the mixed panelers are wearing teal. Is that right? Yeah, I'm looking at the audience. Teal lanyard. So if you see anybody a teal lanyard, that's somebody from Mixpanel, we want to hear from you. I want to hear from you and learn from you today. I'm still hiring the best, but we've already covered that point, so I'm going to move on. My third priority is recognizing that we cannot and should not do this alone. I am a Star Wars nerd through and through, and I have been since the beginning of time. And I like to say that our partnership strategy is a little bit like the Rebel Alliance, right? Enabling us to partner with best-in-class platforms so that we can help you build and deliver the stacks that you need to build and deliver your business. And there are many facets to this partnership, right? I mean, there are folks that we've been working with for a long time, or like Telium and others, mParticle, CDPs to help you bring those first-party insights into Mixpanel, right? And then things like OneSignal and Customer I/O to actually take action on it. The other thing we've been focusing on is the evolving landscape around AI and the tools that are critical to getting AI out the door. The foundation is really the data, so it's not surprising that we're partnering with folks like Snowflake and Atlan to help you build and maintain that solid foundation. Integrating with the tools that you use, like Glean and Notion, to provide access and insight to the information within Mixpanel and vice versa. Tools like Replit and Stripe, I talked a little bit about Replit earlier, getting started quickly and building with Mixpanel from the outset, doing that instrumentation from the moment you start prototyping. And then finally, of course, working with many of the large LLMs, Anthropic, for example, and enabling us to integrate deeply into the workflows that many of you are building and modifying yourself. So what's the big takeaway? The time is now. It is very clear to me from my conversations with customers that all of the work that you're doing now, the teams that take advantage of what is happening over the next 12 to 18 months are going to have unique advantage. Why? Because the insights that you have compound over time. And it's not going to be the teams that build the fastest. It's going to be the teams that learn the fastest. And those customers and those users who have the clearest understanding of their users, building with the user at the core and the understanding of how people are using your applications. People that are able to separate signal from noise and all the different insights and inferences you're going to get, getting that clarity, and as I mentioned, the ability to compound that knowledge over time and differentiate your product. So when it comes to delivering on this vision, there are 3 product priorities I've talked to Anant and the team about. First and foremost is, please build me this personal product analyst that I've talked about before. Remember my unfinished business? This is it. I am committed to making sure that each and every one of you get the capabilities that I saw sitting in a human when I was working back at Facebook. Second is making sure that that system, that analyst, brings to light the product intelligence, that they have a better understanding of your business, your product, your user, and they're integrating that along with the product insights you have so that you're not only steering your product experience, but you're able to do it in a way that accelerates and drives your product and your business. And then finally, how do we help all of you define what good looks like in the age of AI, right? What does this mean when you have an experience that's non-deterministic, right? What does it mean when you have humans and agents using your application side by side? How do you define what that looks like? That is a fundamental question for all of us and one that we're really excited to dig into. And I do believe fundamentally that Mixpanel is well suited to lead in this era. Why? Because we've done it before, right? Mixpanel came into service in the dawn of the mobile era. When we went from computer and browser-based experiences to mobile apps, people didn't really know how to measure the success. Mixpanel stepped in and defined that and filled that void. Here we are again at the next inflection point, the era of AI, and we're ready to do it again. Bringing to bear the 17 years of history and heritage we have, the behavioral insights and intelligence, the experience, the knowledge we have of working with all of you, that infrastructure, and that learning and that opportunity. And we're really excited to do it with all of you. Okay, so I've talked a lot about the vision, and you're like, that's great, but I want to see the product. I'm here to see the product. Get to it. So I'm going to bring Anant up to the stage now. Anant Gupta joined us as CTO here at Mixpanel at the beginning of the year, and it's been an absolute pleasure to watch him and the team totally crush AI and get us out the door quickly. So I'm very excited about that. Now, I looked at your slides, and we talked about this in San Francisco, but they still haven't been updated. So I'm gonna push you on this again. Tell us a little bit about what brought you here to Mixpanel.
All right. See, this time I'm prepared. Last time in San Francisco, Jen goes, tell us about you. I was like, I have a speech and a monologue prepared, and this is not part of it. So my name's Anant. I'm the CTO here at Mixpanel. Prior to this, I just joined about 4 months ago, so I'm super new, and I'm actually really excited to meet each and every one of you today. Prior to this, I was leading engineering, AI, and data science at a company called Included Health, which uses data to navigate you through healthcare. And prior to that, I was at Uber, leading organizations around new mobility, so bikes, scooters, transit, things like that. The driver part of the organization, and then growth. Yeah. And lastly, before that, was at LinkedIn, leading the connection network team, so relationships teams, anything to do with their contact graph. Throughout my time, what I saw was a pattern around data and the value of data. Whether it was in the health space, which is incredibly regulated, or growth at Uber, or the consumer experiences at LinkedIn, what you realized was data makes products better. And in the world of AI, especially as the speed at which we're developing is only increasing, I think it's a unique opportunity. So I am so excited to be here. I also feel like this is one of the hardest technical problems to solve. So as a builder or as an engineer, I really love this.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you and to watch the magic that you and the team are delivering. I'm going to pass the baton on to you and have you share with the audience. Thank you again for everything you do.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, Jen, for the kind words and also the warm welcome. I am 3 cups of coffee in, so I'm very, very excited to be here. Today, I get the amazing job of unveiling to you all of the amazing things we've been building here. But as kind of what Jen talked about, right? We're in this world of AI, and the speed and acceleration at which we're operating is only increasing. And in this space, what you build is now much more important than how fast you build it. And that's where I believe Mixpanel has a unique opportunity and an important role to play. Over the last 17 years, our core focus is to help our customers make better data-informed decisions about their customers and the products that they need to build. And in doing so, what we need to do also needs to evolve with the world of AI. And it's going to change in sort of 2 different spots. The first is we need to become more proactive. We are moving into a promptless world where you're not going in and saying, hey, what's going on? Help me understand. Let me understand this graph. It needs to be always on. It needs to be paying attention to you and making sure that we can help you understand insights in your data at a faster speed and scale. The second thing is we need to move from product analytics to product intelligence. The way we describe product intelligence is 3 parts. The first is I need to be able to tell you what is the data, help you understand it, and set the context. It's not just that I show you a graph. You need to be able to synthesize what that graph and data means. The second is I need to be able to tell you what should you do with that data, right? Great, my sign up is at X. What does that mean and what does that translate to? And the third piece is we need to be able to help you predict the future. So this is the data, this is what I think you should do, and should you do this, this is what the world will look like. That is actually really super cool. And that is something that AI can actually enable for you. And so I'm very excited to announce to you about Mixpanel AI. Mixpanel AI is your always-on product intelligence system. It understands your business, it understands your goals, and in doing so, its purpose is to help you make better data-informed decisions. It has all the tools and skill sets to execute the responsibilities of a great product analyst. Now, within Mixpanel AI, it's actually a series of different things. At the top is Mixpanel AI. It contains Mixpanel Agent. The Mixpanel Agent is the thing that you can connect with, engage with, and work through all of these challenges. Under the hood, though, however, it's actually a series of sub-agents. These agents are specialized with various sets of skills. The RCA, which stands for root cause analysis, onboarding, KPI, experimentation, and I'm going to talk to you more about this. The part here that I'm actually really excited about is we've taken this from the ground up. Instead of you having to think about what agent should I talk to, what's the use case, we've actually made it so that you talk to the Mixpanel agent, and behind it, you have a squad or a fleet of agents that will take care of that. That's product intelligence at your fingertips. The second part of this is that this power and functionality is available to you everywhere. I obviously want you to be on mixpanel.com for all your purposes, but that's not how the world's operating today. We operate in various different spots and various different tools. We want to make sure that intelligence shows up wherever you go. The third piece of this is your context engine. This is sort of your business context, which is super important, where oftentimes we have different bits of information where your business may operate differently for a variety of reasons. You may say, sign up for me means X, or onboarding means Y. We need to make sure that that context comes with you wherever you go. And finally is a set of powerful tools that you need to be able to govern and manage Mixpanel, one of which is verified mode. Now, the cool part about all of this is each and every one of you in this room has access to this as of today. This is the part where you applaud. Thank you. And so what I'm about to share with you after this is not like stuff that's in the future. Obviously there's a lot of stuff we're going to do in the future, but it's not stuff that I'm like, hey, in the next 6 months it'll show up. It is live. It is real. And I am very excited for you to try and use it. But I know you were all excited, but let me show you what it looks like, and then you can be more excited about what that could be. So let's imagine a world where you are, actually I forgot about this part. So one other piece here is the thing that I really like is this intelligence layer. It understands you and understands your business. And we've really spent a lot of time thinking through this part because AI, we're not trying to build you an LLM on just top of your data warehouse and say, go be happy. It is actually trying to look at it from a lens of how do I solve the problems that you're trying to do, which is how do I give you insights, not just the data behind the scenes. And so now let me walk you through an example of this. Like, what would this look like? So imagine now you're in a world of AI. You are AI native, and now we've all obviously converged all of our roles. Instead of you're an engineer, product manager, designer, we're all builders. And now all of a sudden you are trying to ship 10 times faster. But the reality is you don't have context 10 times faster. Now, you are able to make changes wherever you go, but that does not mean you know the right answers or what you need to make and what are the changes you need to make. So how do you solve this? Imagine you go into, you talk to your Mixpanel agent, and you ask it, hey, help me find opportunities to improve sign-up. It needs improvement. What you can see is this is actually a really rough prompt, and that's intentional. Because we want to meet you where you are. We don't want you to say, help me improve my sign-up. Here's my sign-up dashboard. Here's the 5 events you should look at. Because oftentimes that context may not be there. But Mixpanel agent understands this about you. It understands the context the business is operating. And it starts getting to work. It starts thinking about saying, OK, what does this mean? What does that look like? And immediately behind the scenes, it starts going and saying, here's what this could be. It starts looking at existing dashboards if they exist, figuring out and creating new dashboards if necessary. It looks at correlation and also just investigating the overall onboarding experience. What used to take days now happens in a matter of minutes or seconds. Think about what Jen talked about earlier, which was, hey, I want to have an analyst embedded in each one of your teams. You can do that. This is the thing, if I think about in all our journeys, where we wish we could say, is like, hey, help me understand what this looks like. Help me understand what I should do. Help me understand this dashboard or this context. I can do that today, or we can all do that today. Now, in this case, let's walk through this, what this looks like. All of a sudden, it says, OK, here's the sign-up trend. Here's the funnel. It figures out what's the event to use. It figures out how do you think about sign-ups, probably pulling data from your prior dashboards, or the data context that you may have put in with your events. And from here, it's able to start giving you insights. So not only is it giving you the data, but it's able to derive insights for you. In this case, it's able to say that the users who see 2 steps convert 2x faster than the people who see 3 or 1. That is gold, because now not only do you have data, it has a recommendation for you. And it is able to tell you, hey, here's something you could look at. Here's a pattern that I see that could be valuable. Now, within that next, as we took it one step further, not only do we give you those insights, we will allow you to say, hey, help me write a PRD. Help me write and create experiments for this stuff. So it then translates insights into action. And the other cool part about this is something that you can share with your team. That this is not just a report you do one day and move on with life. It's a living, breathing document. You can collaborate on this together, and you can start looking at this saying, oh, like, here's what we could do. And you can actually have a conversation with your agent being like, how many experiments should I run? How should I do it? And again, since it has all of the context about you and the business, it's not just a dashboard you're working with. It's actually your personal analyst that you work through. For me, that's what always-on product intelligence is, that it understands not only the data, but your business as well. The other cool part, and I kind of alluded to this, is all of this amazing intelligence I talked to you about exists on Mixpanel, and I want you to use it. It's wonderful. But it's also available wherever you work. You can start using this with your LLM agents, so you can get this insight wherever you are. Or you can actually have it in Slack. Internally, we've been using this. We have our own Mixpanel agent that we speak with. And the other day, Jen was asking me, going, hey, we launched some of these things. How's it going? I was able to do, at Mixpanel agent, can you answer Jen's question? And what you found was within seconds, it was able to tell us data. For us, by the way, what we saw was we doubled our AI adoption from the products we just launched. And that is amazing. Think of all of the journeys, all the product launches that you've done. What you typically do is you either have dashboards that you look at daily, or you work with someone and you ask them for help. As you are trying to accelerate and build more, this is a way by which you can augment your teams and be able to do this at scale. But I kind of talked to you about this case of this is how it works when you are asking the questions, when you are trying to solve and understand a problem. But that's a part of our jobs. The reality of this is the speed and the ecosystem, the people we work with and the ecosystem we're working in is only evolving and is only accelerating. What you now see is you may be building something, but everybody else around you is also building more and more stuff. So imagine yourself in this case, you're a product manager, and you're responsible for a set of KPIs and a set of product metrics. You work in an organization where you have multiple other people making changes in parallel. So one day, someone rolls out a change, and now you're trying to figure, and so one day you get a notification from us saying, hey, by the way, one of the metrics that you absolutely care about, you're seeing a drop by about 20%. We've discovered this based on trends and data. And again, we have context about you. We have context about your business. We have context about the seasonality of your business from all the data that you have. And so now I can tell you and saying, hey, this seems odd. You can then say, hey, I want to chat with you. Help me understand what's going on. And within moments, it is able to start looking at this and saying, OK, I understand data. Let me call your root cause analysis agent. And it's now looking at saying what's going on. In this case, what you see is there was an experiment that was launched, which was not properly configured in the EU. And within that, you're seeing that is what's driving the drop. Now, what you could do in here is just say, hey, implement the fix for me. In this case, what we're doing is we're rolling back or pausing the experiment. Over time, what you can imagine is, especially if this is a thing that you feel comfortable with and it's a normal set of activities, you can actually just say, hey, automatically do this for me as well. But the idea is, how do I make it so that you can diagnose and understand this problem? The other cool thing is, at a push of a button, I can also tell you, here's all the session replays. So not only do you have data that says this is the drop, you can also see the user experience of what happened. That is super powerful because not only can you understand, you can also understand the user's experience and the journey. Think about this for a moment, where anytime you've launched stuff, anytime there's a production issue, sometimes what happens is we see, oh, dashboard data is down. Maybe you don't get proactively notified, so you either hear it from a customer request or you were checking a Mixpanel dashboard. Then you try to figure out, why did this happen? And then you go through a dashboard and say, here's my data, whatnot. And then you ping people going, hey, did anyone make a change on this stuff? And depending on the time and hour, someone will respond back, and then you're like, what's going on? This takes time. If you're lucky, it's 30 minutes, but generally it takes multiple days. Now, all of this can happen, again, in a matter of seconds, which is super cool. Now, I talked to you a little bit about experiments, and this is something that even came up yesterday when I was chatting with a few of our customers, is as teams are moving fast, the value of experiments is becoming more and more important. As Jen earlier talked about, as speed is increasing, it also has the possibility of increasing bad decisions. And that's why for us, building on the experimentation platform is actually incredibly important. What we've done is built up an experiment agent that can help you do this. The reality is running good experiments is really, really hard. It's sometimes hard to know, do I have the right sample ratios for this? And SRM, and SRMs are a big annoying thing that happens with experiments. Am I testing the right hypotheses? Am I doing the right things? And so what we've built is a series of skills for our agent, which can then look at, say, like, here's how you can do this better. We can help you understand how do you build experiments effectively. We can help you optimize those experiments. And we can also allow AI to help you derive insights from those experiments. So are you gathering the right conclusion? Are you able to understand this is correlation versus causation? And these are some of those pieces that can help teams build the right products in the right way and at scale. So if I bring all of this together, that is actually the piece that is actually really interesting, is we bring the data and insights from your dashboards and data. We can bring experiments, feature flags, session replay, metrics trees. And if you connect all of them, that can actually help you understand more deeply about what is it that you need to do and how it all fits together. And that is also part of always-on product intelligence. Gaith earlier alluded to this. I get to share with you something that we actually have not announced anywhere. So this is the first place we're announcing. This is part of the speech that you're hearing it for the first time as well. So I am really, really excited about this, mostly because as I've shared with you so far, I've shared with you all these amazing things that we as humans, or organics, as Stephanie told me to use, as humans get to use. But that's not how agents work. Agents are not going to use point-and-click systems. And what we've thought about here is, like, how would we build Mixpanel for agents? What would that look like? And much like how we approached Mixpanel AI, we actually looked at this from the ground up. And in particular, I get to share with you what we're calling Mixpanel Headless. Mixpanel Headless extends product intelligence to agents and developers. And what we're doing is actually making the entirety of the Mixpanel surface programmable. And this is different from an MCP, though an MCP is amazing. I obviously want you to keep using it too. Mixpanel Headless is actually a much more powerful version of it because it extends every bit of it, or every bit of MCP in code. So what you could be a conversational token, conversation, I guess, with an LLM, you can now do this with code. And that part is actually incredibly powerful. Things that you can do is connect with various different systems with code. Instead of asking an LLM saying, hey, help me understand this dashboard, the data can come back to you in terms of just saying dashboard.getData. And now you have all of the power and versatility to do this. Second thing is you can make these reusable. A lot of us sometimes have to do weekly, daily reports, updates, things like that. And you want to make sure that you're getting deterministic data in the same way that is computed the same way as well. The last thing either of any of us wants to do is send an update, and an hour later is, oh, the LLM computed this differently than it had yesterday or the last time or the 3 times over. And the other part of this is this can now integrate into all of your workflows. And so this can allow Mixpanel for you to be a critical part of your data infrastructure. If you're interested in this, this is also in early access, so talk to one of us and we'll get you access. Now, besides that, I'm also very excited to share with you this part. This is the part where you see I'm an engineer. That this is built on, and the part here is all of this is built on a foundation that we've built and scaled the company on. One of the things that has always gotten me very excited about Mixpanel is the size and scale that it operates. We have global users, we have global customers. And each one of you has had different sets of needs, different sets of challenges, and different sets of scale requirements, where sometimes your data varies by days, months, weeks, even sometimes events. And each one of those times, Mixpanel is able to scale reliably and deliver value to you. That sort of infrastructure you cannot vibe code overnight. And that's the infrastructure that allows us to build all of Mixpanel and provide that to you going forward as well. One of the pieces that's at the core of this, and I've sort of alluded to this, is this context engine. This context engine has context about you, your business, your goals. It is the thing that helps us make sure that when we give you an insight, when we give you data, it is relevant for you and your business. And the way we built this, privacy and security comes first. The data and information we work with is yours and limited to your context in every way. And all of our Mixpanel AI that we're launching is EU AI Act compliant. The idea for us here is how do we make sure that the insights we deliver and the data we provide is contextually relevant to you. And so all of this intelligence shows up everywhere you go on your own terms. We've also spent a bunch of time thinking, while we've thought about how we can make Mixpanel better, we've also spent a bunch of time thinking about how do we make it easier to use and implement Mixpanel going forward. One of the pieces we're building or launching is an AI agent that helps you onboard and implement Mixpanel a lot easier. This can show up via command line. This can show up via the headless tools. This can even show up directly through the product. But the idea, again, is you should be able to ask your LLM agent, say, hey, implement Mixpanel for me. And it should be able to do that. For all you folks who are like, hey, Anant, I'm already a customer, you can still use this. So this is not just for new folks. But the other element we've added is the ability to look at PRs and code changes and say, hey, you missed events here. So that going forward, you don't end up in this spot where you've launched a feature without analytics or events. I can tell you, as someone who has led engineering teams before, oftentimes there's a tension between building a feature or getting analytics in place. We want to eliminate that tension because, again, at a push of a button, you have event names and all of these things already there. And that's the piece with Mixpanel that I think about is production has no context of code, and code doesn't have context of production. And we can bridge that gap for you. And the third piece is a series of tools that will help you manage and govern Mixpanel a lot better. One of the challenges that exists is now I can derive a lot of insights. I can give you a lot of data. How do I make sure I'm using the right events? How do you make sure that the people who use this product or who use Mixpanel AI are also getting the right information out there? So that's what we're calling verified mode. which you can specify and say that, hey, these events we've verified as the right events to use. So this way, if you have someone who has a sign-up event and they also have Anant_signup, you can say, ignore Anant_signup. That's a fake event. Use signups. And that makes your life a lot easier. And you can have trust that if anyone's deriving insights from Mixpanel, they are doing it with the events that you have verified and saying these are correct. There's a lot more tooling behind the scenes that we're going to be launching. And so I am super excited for all of that. And that's the other part that I want you to take away, is that we're only getting started. A lot of the things that Jen talked about, the speed at which development's happening, AI is changing the world for all of us, they also apply to us as well. We are able to iterate and develop much faster, and we're only beginning to do this. And I actually, for me personally, I'm so excited about this because I believe better software makes the world better. And each one of you, as you build products, is only going to make consumer experiences or product experiences better for everyone around the world. And so I am actually very excited for you to use it. I'm very excited to try it. And so my ask to you is, we have demo booths around. Please go check this out. I want you to use Mixpanel Agent. I want you to ask a hard question. I want you to use it. I can assure you that you're going to be super, super impressed. And so with that, I just want to say thank you. And I'm looking forward to what you build with Mixpanel.
This is amazing, isn't it? And a lot to take in as well. So I just want to reiterate, the team from Mixpanel is equipped to share with you more details about this. The exploration booths there, you can put your hands on this now. Anyway, until then, it's your turn to ask questions for Jen and Anant, not me. Yeah, there are runners. Raise your hand, take the microphone, then ask the question. If you could introduce yourself in between as well, that would be great.
Thought I'd break the ice first. So Bhavesh from London Marathon. Anant, you're 4 months in. What's one of your key learnings, and what's the one thing you're really excited about going forward after this launch?
Oh my gosh.
Loaded question, but there you go.
Key learnings. I think the biggest piece that I've reflected on more and more is software itself is no longer a moat. Yeah. And I think every time any company is like, I can do this, 50 other companies will copy you more and more. And so for us, and for me, the big thing is like what you build and how fast you can, like what you build is actually super important. And one of the things I've been reflecting on is you can build as quickly as you can. At some point, we'll probably hit some limit of how much change a human can take. And so that's where I think the right things to build is going to be super, super important. And it just hits you in the face because as much, I honestly, there's so many more things I wanted to share with you all. And then Daniil was like, dude, you're saying too much. Just ship this. There's only so much change. So I think that's the big piece. And I think that's the other side of it I'm so excited for. Like, I wonder how, I mean, we've leveraged and benefited a lot from the LLM and foundation models. On the other hand, the data and the context we can provide them only makes things a lot better. And so I can't wait for that future in that regard. Ooh, one other thing I'm really excited about. Some of our customers who used this last week have already started telling us about how it's helped them. One of our customers told us they saw a drop in signups, and one of the reasons was they launched passkeys, and passkeys on Safari was not working as well. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So that's the other side that if you ask me what I'm very excited about that too.
Yeah. Hi guys. Thank you all for your presentation. Anastasia, awesome project. I have a question about the role of UI as you see it, because you mentioned a lot of like agents, like outsourcing. Do you see it as a challenge for Mixpanel as well, that you give like power to the users to use like Mixpanel data outside of the UI? Do you think it is an issue, or this is where we're going? What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. You just mentioned moats a moment ago, and I think, when I came into the organization, one of the things I think we've thought about for a long time is that one of our competitive differentiators is our ease of use, and we equated that with the UI. Now, we can debate ease of use in different contexts, but specifically as it relates to your question about UI, I think one of the most interesting things for me in this moment of AI is, in many ways, people can unbundle or reconfigure applications and capabilities in the ways that really suit how they work, right? And some people are going to come in and configure and work within the context of a Mixpanel interface. Some people are going to want to increase and insert it in an agentic flow. Some people are going to want to work in different ways. And I think what I like about the moment we're living in is that it enables us to experiment and experience ease of use and user experience in a whole new way. I think it also presents for all of us who are builders new challenges in understanding the user populations in these different contexts, right? Because the flip side, as Anant mentioned, is like, woohoo, we've doubled the number of people using our AI capabilities just since we launched last week. We're having to look at and measure across a lot of different interfaces and usability in a lot of different contexts. So it's like, great opportunity, great growth, new challenges for everyone. But fundamentally, I think as it relates to Mixpanel itself, I think we're really excited and feel very strongly about the importance of this product intelligence. And our commitment is to deliver that to you wherever it is you or your team or your coworkers decide to work.
Yeah. Only other thing I would add is, I remember this debate at LinkedIn where we talked about whether mobile is the future or not. And there was even a conversation like, if you build more on mobile, people won't use on desktop. What will it mean? Yeah. But I think there's a time and place for both. And I see the same thing with UI. Not doing both, though, is problematic in the future.
Yeah, I think we live to be helpful and valuable wherever you may work.
Hi, I'm Mr. Hackathon. I'm a content creator. So I hope I'm not being too cheeky and asking this, but there's a lot of big bets in AI globally. Mm-hmm. And everything I've seen is amazing. Love Mixpanel. Again, big bets. How are you de-risking? Because there's a lot of money flowing that you might start to see the cracks. There's talks about data centers not being built and lots of things happening. Investing so much in AI is a big bet. Is there any way you're de-risking in case, I don't know, things happen with OpenAI or Anthropic or whatever? We don't know what's going to happen.
So I think that's a very fair question. Honestly, this has been a super interesting thing to think about when people are like, well, how soon can you get AGI going? And it's like, oh my gosh, like artificial general intelligence, who knows? The way we're approaching this is we're actually multimodal. So we partner with different LLM organizations, so it's not just we're picking one or the other. Behind the scenes, what we've actually built is a framework by which we say, what is the system that's going to give you the best results for our customers? And we are optimizing for that. Now, if a LLM is not available or it's down, that kind of becomes problematic. The other thing is we have fantastic relationships with all of these folks. In San Francisco, all of them were actually in attendance with us as well. And so we've actually working through several partnerships to say how long, we have committed partnerships on that front as well. So, yeah.
I think the other thing I would add is, at the end of the day, great products, the core and most important feature of any product is performance, security, and reliability. And I think as we build and as we experiment and as we move in new directions, the first foundational block that any team thinks about as they build and scale is making sure that we continue to deliver that. And so we've built that into the product and into those safeguards so that it provides us the flexibility and the insurances we have to make sure that everybody has what they need when they need it.
Hi, Roy. I work in product. So far, a lot of the analytics and intelligence is based on organics behaving on websites and organics behaving on apps. How are you thinking about agent behavior on different surfaces and looking at that?
Oh, this is my most passionate topic. How long do we have? It's something I'm really excited about. We got a very similar question actually in San Francisco, and the point I made to that audience, and I'll make it here as well, is I think all of us have spent the better part of the last 5 to 10 years trying to figure out how we eliminate and maintain and compress bot traffic on our website. And what we're understanding now is, even more importantly now, is actually understanding the behavior of those inorganic, what are we calling them, Steph? Are we calling them inorganic? organic and inorganic users, the inorganic users on the site and the experience, because it's important as you're building a site or an application that you think about in this day and age, actually both of those experiences, that you understand each of them distinctly, and that you have the opportunity to optimize. So we don't have anything to announce today, but it is there's definitely some stuff happening back at home in the lab on this one.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm a founder of a golf travel tech startup. We started in 2025. The benefit of sort of starting a brand new company in this day and age is, especially around engineering, we've been able to build our entire engineering capabilities around AI. You know, having our headcount also in proportion to what can be accomplished with AI. The question is now, as we're going to market and we're getting a lot of data, we were actually thinking of hiring a data scientist, but sort of looking at the product roadmap that you guys have, maybe second guessing that a little bit. So the question is, in today's day of AI and with the new features coming out in Mixpanel, when is it actually appropriate, given all these new capabilities, to hire someone that's specialized in something like this, or just rely on the AI? And if we still need someone, at what stage maybe do they come in later?
I have a few thoughts. It's hard to answer specifically for you and your business, but one thing that is quite evident is people are asked to do more with less. And I think across the board, there is this inherent pressure to say, how can you achieve 10 times as much as you can without adding more headcount and things like that? And so I think that's one thing that is really true. Like, I don't imagine a world where everyone's going to have their own personal data analyst. And I think part of this is, like, it's a great luxury, but even that was actually quite limiting, right? Like, if we, at Uber, we had one product analyst for our teams, everyone would ask them the questions, and they would be like, dude, Anant, like, I don't have time for this, go away. And so I think this accelerates you and moves you faster. I do think there is value in the expertise and the judgment to all of this. Like, I wouldn't say we're at the spot where, like, oh, this is your AGI human that can do this, and that's not it. I look at this as much more of a means by which I can augment each and every one of your teams, where everyone has superpowers. I don't know when is that time, but what I can say is I think my belief is you should be able to do way more without needing to grow an organization 10x more to be able to ship 10 times more with the power of AI and with the power of Mixpanel AI.
And the thing I would just say is, I would, first of all, congratulations on the founding of your startup. And it sounds like with great data problems come great success. So first and foremost, congratulations. I would encourage you to see how far you and your team can get with tools that are available off the shelf. I find that teams that put the onus on the builders themselves to understand the data, you see them build better decisions from the outset in terms of how they think about how they define metrics, how they think about the experiments, how they define the data. Like, you keep the responsibility with the builder, and you end up with a much more solid foundation out of the gate. I see teams hitting a tipping point when they start to need to see greater standardization in an organization, or when they want to be able to do things at larger scale. Our hope and aspiration is that, with tools like Mixpanel, you can get your team started out of the gate, and then with the flexibility of agents, MCP, and even now headless, that there's a lot of flexibility in how your teams can use them. And as your team grows and you bring on new skill sets, that will be able to grow and extend with you and help you make that transition seamlessly.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. Cool. And we will be available for questions. We're around for the rest of the day, and hit us up or people with the blue lanyards.
Thank you all, and for the questions, really good ones. Sorry?
Okay,
if you twist my arm, yeah, okay.
I got him.
Hello, can you hear me? Yep. This is Vivek. I represent Nottingham Trent University. I come from an industry background. On the business context, is there a framework? Only certain areas we can give an entire business context, because if I had to do an R&D project in a healthcare, like clinical data, etc., there's a lot of intellectuals we have to protect, and then how this kind of human-in-leaf concept exists to train the business context part.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah, right. So the way we've thought about the context engine is actually going to be three different portions. One is at your organization level. So you may say, we are this organization. We care about these things. That's universally and generally available. The second context is about a project. So you may say all the people who have access to this project have this context. And so that's going to be restricted to that project. The third spot where we're headed, so this is not live today yet, but will be soon, is the individual context. So you may say, Jen might say, hey, I'm the CEO of Mixpanel, so that it can then give her answers in a way that's more appropriate for a CEO. It should give you the same data. It shouldn't say, hey, your CEO NPS is amazing, and everybody else, I'm joking. But like, it should be able to give you the same data, but you may say, look, I am a product manager for the growth team, and I care about these 5 metrics. So when you talk to your AI agent, you should say, hey, help me understand. It will do that. So it's going to be across the 3. The permissioning system behind all of this is going to match your project-based permissioning system. So that's the other element with all of these pieces that we're building, is that it's going to mimic the way you use Mixpanel today. So I'm not trying to make AI as a means for you to circumvent role-based access or circumvent rules for your projects too.
Amazing.
Cool. Catch us.
Thank you. Thank you all for the questions. Really good ones. No, that way. OK. Just before we move to the final part of the keynote, I want us all to take a moment. Just pause for a moment. An event like this, with this innovation, doesn't happen overnight. It's the feedback loop that you're all giving us about where we need to innovate. And, of course, it's a collective effort by everyone. But for every gathering like this, for this community, there is usually, for every car, one driver. And this driver for this event, I want to take a moment to recognize, is our EMEA Head of Marketing and Customer Engagement, Anna Crisp, who I'd like to invite her over here. Thank you, Anna. Hello. And a little confession, the real reason is because I'm not really good reader of agenda. So she will also take us through the agenda. Anna.
First of all, thank you for not making my recurring nightmare a reality. The seats are not empty, so this is really good. Thank you. Yes, so we've got one more really, really exciting keynote coming up, which Gaith is going to tell you about. But just to make sure you're hydrated, well-fed, and ready for what we've got later on. So just as you came in, level 5 above us, this is where we're going to serve lunch in about half an hour or so. After that, from 1 o'clock, for those of you who want to focus on the sort of keynotes and panel sessions, we're back here. You can access the agenda also through the QR code on your badges. If you really want to get in the nitty-gritty, go through some of the stuff that Anant and Jen were talking about earlier. We have 2 Mixpanel Master sessions. Experimentation one kicking off at 1:30, and then the one focusing on AI at 2:45. Those are at the Smith Center, so find us, we'll show you the way. You probably went past it as you came to check in, but this is where you go for your hands-on workshops, and also if you want to join any of the roundtables, that's where we're going to run them as well. But thank you again for coming and being here with us today.
OK, so the final one, I'd like to invite to the stage Maria. Maria is the VP of Product of Face IT. Will tell us more about Face IT in a second. But Maria builds an analytics culture in her team, where the right questions get answered before it becomes the wrong outcome, which is a fascinating story. I'm really looking forward to hear it. After you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and what a beautiful room, and what beautiful, it's a pleasure to follow after those amazing presentations, and also some of the questions that we had earlier today. Hopefully our story may resonate with some of you in the room, or might help you also guide if you're starting a startup, making some of those decisions. So as I said, I'm VP of Product at DSL Faceit Group. I actually funded Faceit with some friends back in 2012, so it was ages ago. We were on an amazing journey since then, which in April 2022, we merged with ESL and got purchased by Savvy Games through PIF. And so now we are EFG. And I think like the best way to explain what we do is actually watch a video, which hopefully is going to play when I click on it. So let's see if the tech moment gives me joy.
EFG creates worlds beyond gameplay. Worlds where players and fans become community. Where everybody can be somebody. Where communities have the power to shape video games. And where the vibrant gaming community comes to life. We create experiences that serve and grow the competitive community. Because we know how to excite and entertain, how to capture the hearts of players and fans alike. Let us help you build a stronger, longer-lasting bond with them, offering you an unrivaled local expertise and unmatched global reach. ESL Faceit Group is the culmination of more than 2 decades of leading the esports and gaming scene. In that time, we have driven esports and gaming forward, building valuable partnerships with the world's most influential publishers and biggest brands. Because since day one, all of us in the EFG family share the same mission: to develop innovative ecosystems that enable communities of players, fans, and creators around esports and games. After all, we are players, fans, and creators ourselves.
Perfect. So, yeah, we are a gaming company, shocking news. We work in esports, and yeah, what we are really working on and trying to do is bring people together. And we do that through our digital platform, Faceit, which is what I'm going to focus on today and talk about, but also at our live events. So if you ever want to come or are interested, just add me on LinkedIn and we can chat. Faceit. So what is Faceit? It's the biggest competitive gaming platform, which we have 40 million users. When players come to Faceit, they do that because they want a more competitive experience to what they find typically in the game client itself. So you come to Faceit to participate in tournaments, championships, leagues, but also to meet friends and like-minded people. It's the step that you want to take when, so for example, if you play sports, if you play football, you kind of have a traditional path to get to hopefully become professional. So normally you would start playing with your school, and then from there you can find the local football club. And then if you're good, then other people will pick you up and you move up the ladder. Faceit tries to offer that for gamers and competitive gamers. So there we have professional players that play on the platform, and typically by playing on Faceit and rising through the ranks, you have the opportunity to get noticed, picked up by a coach, and join a team at any different level. Giving you some context around our platform and the magnitude of what we do. So we have 40 million registered users, which kind of accounts for 750 daily actives. So we have quite a big retention from dailies to monthly. We have about 400 million page views every month across our platforms, and then account of 150 million hours of playtime throughout the year of people coming to visit. We are a global platform, so we operate in different markets, as that picture shows. Little bit about demographics. We were saying it's 750 daily actives. That's about 10 million distinct users logged in every month for a total of 40 million registered users. Our demographics are mainly a male audience, so likely women are growing, both working at the company and in our user base. And it's a very tech-savvy user base. So it's gamers, it's people that know how to use a PC, it's that probably like also have very good gaming gear at home. And with that said, they are also people that are used to AI and artificial intelligence. Like we are lucky to be in an industry that a form of artificial intelligence was always there. NPCs in video games, how you do those interactions. Although those were like rule-based systems before, and now they've evolved with LLMs and so on, it always had a concept of AI in your mind, and you were always expecting it in the product. A little bit about our team to put in context what I'm gonna say afterwards. So we have 15 different product squads, which are led by what we call the three amigos. So typically product manager, engineering manager, and designer. Each squad has obviously dedicated engineers. One of the things that our company really embraced after COVID was going hybrid. So although we have an office in London and in other places, we haven't really forced people to come back into the office. And some of our teams are completely remote. Reason I'm saying this, it's like having tools like Mixpanel and our AI capabilities are actually even more important when people are not physically in the same place and you can't just walk up to the other person and just ask a question. So our culture, I think, can be summarized in like 2 sentences. One is we want to ship fast and fail faster. At Face It, we always had a culture of experimentation. And also, like with the ship fast, it's not just building fast, but we want the products to be in the hands of our players. Players, gamers are extremely vocal. So that's something that we are fortunate about, is that if they like something, we will know it. If they don't like something, we will know it even faster because it will probably end up on Reddit and be in front page like in a matter of few minutes. So yeah, that's why for us, like it's really like not just about building, because you can build a lot and never ship. So for us, it's really about getting things in the hands of our players. And to do that, we go to the other principle, which is data insights go along our morning coffee. So we really made sure that everybody has their own data report that they got on Slack via Slack message. It's the first thing they see when they log on. And that should really go with their morning coffee to try to think, okay, getting a better start of the day. One of the pillars that we always wanted to build, we always had a lean team at Face It throughout the years in how we build things. And like one key component was that we always wanted to have everyone should have access to data. It's not just about having access, it's about being accountable. So everybody should know what data they need to track, how they need to measure it, and especially like what success is. You can't have success unless you can measure it. And it's really important that every team knows exactly what they should be tracking and then consumes those events, those events and data points that they decided to track to be able to make better decisions. So a little bit about our journey so far. We started our journey with Mixpanel. I think we were probably one of the first customers ever because we started in 2014. At that point, we were at the very peculiar point in our moment. We were 10 people, but we had just secured our funding round. So we had just secured our Series A. It was a very good moment for the company. We were starting to get the usual pressure from investors. You should hire fast. Like you just got the money. Now hire and build more. And so we were at a point where the company quickly grew from 10 to 50 and then to 100 people in a span of less than 9 months it was. And with that, one of the challenges was that, well, we were not 10 people anymore that kind of live and breathe this product from day and night, and that was everything we were doing. But we started having a lot of different people involved, many more engineers, product managers starting joining the team. And so the first questions that came to mind was, how can we make sure that everyone is making informed decisions? Because we can't be everywhere. But like the founders were 3 people, and the early employees, we were like less than 10 people. So it's like now we are 10x that. So it's invisible to think that we can always be there and guide everybody. And that's when we came across Mixpanel. Obviously, Mixpanel back then was a very different product than what it was today. But what they were trying to do at the time also already resonated with us, which was this democratized way of giving access to data, the possibilities of really seeing your events coming in real time, and then be able to start creating your own dashboards. From there, like, our usage has actually evolved as Mixpanel grew. We grew as well in the business, luckily. But Mixpanel remained the core. So whilst we started developing our own data capabilities, and we started having data analysts and started embedding that in every team, one of the things that we quickly realized as well was that, well, although we loved that structure very much, we couldn't really afford it when you think about the cost, the funding that we had. Obviously, the pressure as a young business to then go to a Series B, keep growing, become profitable, which then meant that we had to rethink about our data team and data structure a little bit. And Mixpanel became more key in how everything was making decisions. So we really made sure that everybody owned the tracking and analytics end to end. Our usage, team of usage from the different teams evolved to A/B testing, retention analysis, user flows. At that time, Mixpanel didn't have an experiment feature, so what we ended up doing was we built our own feature flag system, and then we were still using Mixpanel to evaluate the statistical significance, because with the funnel drops, it would estimate like statistical significance, but it didn't have the layer before. And at that point, for example, one of the questions was, shall we go and use Optimizer or build our own thing? And we were like, well, Optimizer seems like a little bit of an overkill, great tool, but a bit too much for what we need to do. So yeah, we built on top of Mixpanel, and now glad to see that experiments have a place there. And this like created a big shift in the culture, like, and how teams are working, because we really like made sure that all the teams started understanding how players are utilizing our platforms, what conversions points are working better than ever, and which funnels we needed to fix. So for example, this on the right, it's a dashboard that actually we have used pretty recently. So this is like a new thing that we developed just 3 months ago. And the team was using this dashboard. This feature was about a team that has, for example, 4 players and is looking for their 5th to take part in the competition where they need to be 5. So they are looking for the missing one, the right fit for their team. And we developed a system that allowed players to send applications to teams. So one of the things that we wanted to track, obviously, was, okay, how many applications are being sent? And for example, like one of the things that we started funding thanks to this dashboard is that players were more successful in getting their application accepted if they applied to more than 1 team. And typically, the sweet spots seem to be 3 teams. Don't tell me why it's 3 teams, but the data show that. So now the team has an insight going forward in terms of how can we push players to try to apply to at least 3 teams so that they have a higher chance of getting into one. More into the present as well. One of the key important things that we are focusing on right now is thanks to AI, or because of AI, one of the issues that we kind of knew we had, but was never really like super clear, was that data foundations needs to be extremely strong. So the thing of garbage in, garbage out is like, sadly, is as true as ever. So we started noticing that obviously, like as any company, like when, and in our case as well, because now we are the result of a merger of different companies that were on different data stacks, the amount of tech debt that you pile up, well, it's incredible. And honestly, like that is true also when it comes to data. Like, unfortunately, like we're always thinking about what's next. And sometimes we don't focus on, okay, but is this event still maintained? Is it still needed? And therefore, that ended up in a situation where, when checking our Mixpanel project in June 2025, I saw we had 700 different events tracked. Out of those, less than half were actually used in dashboards. So that's one thing that we started focusing on is, okay, how do we get better at, again, it's like if you have a garden outside your house, you will get a gardener to fix your garden because you just don't want it to grow out of control. So that's sort of like the hygiene that we are trying to build in how we approach data and approach software development as well. Because that allows us to go to the next step through AI, which is building connectivity across different data sources was never easier. Now, thanks to the Mixpanel MCP, which we have enabled and are leveraging, and data lakes, CLI, so BigQuery command line or Snowflake or other things, you can really merge insights from different sources and use the agent you like Cloud Code or Copilot or whatever you prefer, to really get a 360 overview, which before was not as easy because different systems might have been used for different tracking. For example, one of the challenges was that maybe if we were, maybe your page views are just too much and you don't want to send them all into Mixpanel because, again, you might not always need all of them. So you might be saving them somewhere that's cheaper. Now, through AI, you can merge those insights. So one of the challenges with that we started seeing and that we are focusing on, and for which I think the innovation that Mixpanel was presenting earlier is really interesting, is that one of the tendencies, everybody right now has access to Cloud Code in our company. Well, not everybody, but I mean every engineer, every product manager, every design person. I started seeing these HTML files of dashboards floating around everywhere in different Slack channels. Different GitHub projects being built where a few people had access, but others didn't. Knowledge not being shared, not even and everything becoming more siloed. So I think that's one of the things that we need to really invest in and work on is how to make sure that this knowledge and insights that we are building, they don't stay within that team, but they are built on a shared infrastructure that everybody has access to, so that effectively as well, I'm not going to be rebuilding another query that another team built. If that team had the insights and the expertise to build it in the first place, it is much better that that insight is shared across the board rather than having other 3 teams that no less try to replicate the same thing because it's actually statistically very likely it's not going to be the same. And in some cases, it might be wrong. One example, as you can see here, it's one of our weekly recaps. Those are generated by an agent, and they are delivered on Slack to all our teams. So this brings me to the last part of my talk today, which is really around the complex world we are in. I think one of the things that has been mentioned several times is the speed. And it's true, we have agent builders that are helping us across multiple products. For example, we had an agent that we used to build this game server performance dashboard that you see. So the agent was able to go and grab all the latency, packet loss, and jitter data from all our players, understand where the servers are because we explained it to him, and then estimate and visualize, okay, what is the average ping, where players might be having connectivity issues, which then we can use in our product to ensure that players are routed to the best server. We also have another AI agent that is helping our human moderators with case verdicts. So the agent is able to review all of the evidence that is provided in a case, which is across many different formats. So it is chat messages, voice communications, images, even gameplay data. It reviews all of that and then comes up with a recommendation. And that recommendation allows our human moderator to digest the summary, much quicker than they would do without. It also unleashed creativity across a lot of teams. So we started having agent skills that we built, helping developers creating a development plan and all of their GR tickets, starting from the PRD of a product manager. We also had, an idea of how we can help PMs creating dashboards and insights reports and having that delivered where they wanted them. So using the Mixpanel MCP in the background, but then visualizing it however they like it. With that, there are a few challenges that I'd like to talk about and mention. And one of them is something that I could talk about for hours, but I think critical thinking is more important than ever. When you talk with an AI agent, any conclusion that it gives you, it sounds very credible and extremely correct. But that might not always be the case. So for example, on the left, you see me, I was talking with Claude, and I was trying to build a capacity prediction for how many servers we needed for Finland in the next month. And the first prediction it gave me, I think it was suggesting that we should get double the servers of what we had, which I knew didn't make sense. The chart in the bottom shows that, well, our servers were never peaking. The yellow line is the busy servers. The green line you see at the top is how many servers we have available. It's kind of clear there's enough buffer in there, but Claude was extremely adamant that we needed even more buffer because on one day we had a tech issue where one of our ping servers went down, and therefore Finland scaled like crazy because suddenly everybody was being served to Finland. So that's the important thing. I think critical thinking and subject matter expertise. So knowing having that feeling of that number is right or not, having that intrinsic knowledge of your product is more important than ever. So are we ready for AI? I think this is the $1 billion question that I'm getting every day from leadership. We are trying to be as ready as we can. We have started an ambassador program within our company. We are also trying to focus on AI adoption, but we want to do that in a way that everybody has time to learn and upskill themselves. So hackathons like the one that Mixpanel organized yesterday, we are organizing those as well on a quarterly basis, because it really it's about, as any new technology, you always have early adopters that are right now at the forefront of our AI hype train. But you also have the others that are still thinking, is AI going to take over my job? I think the answer, I think it's no, but your job is definitely going to change, and you need to be ready for that change. And of course, one of the things that we really wanted to clarify as well is that AI allows us to do more, which obviously can reflect in many different ways. At the same time, tokens are expensive, and you need to have a clear ROI or a clear way to measure what we are building, which is why we have started creating guidelines and metrics for success. Because ultimately, I think the one thing that is true to every business is that you build for your players, you build for your users, and that should always come first. So AI is it's an amazing technology, it's an amazing tool in your pocket, but it shouldn't be the end goal. The end goal should still be serving your community, which is our #1 value, and I hope it resonates with everybody here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And that's the exact note we want to end up. Lunch is served upstairs, just through the stairs in here. We'll see you back here at 1 o'clock. Thank you.